Guys, you have to try this. Scene 3, moving right along. Woo! Are you looking for a bake that's super easy and truly impressive? If you love coconut, you are going to love this recipe. We're making a coconut loaf that is shareable with friends, or let's be real, you can always just keep it all for yourself. This coconut loaf is packed with coconut flavor. It's beautifully moist. We'll finish it off with a simple icing and then sprinkle for a beautiful finish some coconut on the top of it. Trust me, this is a crowd pleaser. I made this for some friends and this rose quickly to the top of favorites. So let's get baking. Turn your oven to 350 and we need to prepare our bread pan. To prepare the bread pan, you can either spray it, grease it, flour it, or you can use parchment paper. That is what I prefer to do. I use parchment paper, make this nice little package here, and it is such an easy release. The bread comes out clean. There's no additional flour or anything on the edges. Check out the video here if you need assistance on the cuts and folds. This is super simple. You'll thank me if you try it. This is an 8.5 by a 4.5 pan. I'm going for a smaller loaf. It'll be a little more narrow and a dome. If you have a 9 by 5, that's perfectly fine. That's what this size is. It just spreads the bread out a little more. It'll be a little wider and less of a dome. Either one is going to be perfectly fine. As a general rule of thumb, an 8.5 by 4.5 is going to hold about 6 cups of batter, and the 9 by 5 will hold about 8 cups of batter. Now we're going to combine our dry ingredients in a bowl. We're going to add flour. This is 180 grams or 1.5 cups. I'm using a scale for exact measurements. So if you're using measuring cups, make sure that you don't scoop into the flour. You'll get way too much flour into your cup. You want to spoon it into your measuring cup and then use a level. So you want exact measurements. Too much flour in your bake will make it dry. Next, we're going to add 1 teaspoon of salt. That is 6 grams. And 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder. This is what will give our bread its lift and leavening. That is 2 grams. Now we just want to whisk this together. We're making sure that we are getting the salt and the baking powder all mixed into the flour. Now we're going to set this aside and we are done with the scale for now. Now we're going, is this plugged in? Now we're going to mix our butter and sugar together. We're going to cream it until it's light and fluffy. You can use a stand mixer fitted with a paddle attachment, a large bowl, and your hand mixer. We're putting 2 sticks of butter or 226 grams into the bowl. I just want to show you this is room temperature. You should be able to push your finger into it. It needs to be soft. So you can see there I'm making an impression. You want it nice and soft. Then we're going to add 1.5 cups of sugar. This is 300 grams. We're going to beat this for 3 to 4 minutes until it is light and fluffy. It'll actually even start to change color. It's yellow now. It'll start to look more white. We're going to just incorporate a lot of air and fluff into our butter. Okay, I'm going to scrape the bowl down. I just want to make sure that we're getting all of the butter down in the bottom, off of the sides. It's starting to cream together. Then we'll just let it mix for another couple minutes. Our butter and sugar is nicely creamed. I'm going to go ahead and shut this off and scrape the bowl down one more time. Sometimes there's solid butter that's down on the bottom where the beater doesn't get. So I just want to make sure that I'm getting it all in there before we move on to the next step. So we have the bowl scraped down. Go ahead and get this ready. Now we're going to add 3 eggs to the mixture. These are at room temperature, always very important. I will keep saying that. We just mixed this butter and made it light and fluffy. And if you incorporate cold eggs right out of the refrigerator into it, it's going to make this mixture separate. We're trying to get it nice and smooth and all incorporate together. So room temperature. We will be adding the whole egg, and we're doing one at a time. I'm just putting them all in the same bowl, but we'll be adding them one at a time. So I'm going to turn this on stir, and I'm going to put our first egg in. You just want to mix it until it's incorporated. You'll see less and less of that golden yellow. It'll start to disappear. And you may need to scrape your bowl down during the process, which is perfectly fine. After incorporating the eggs in, I'm going to go ahead and scrape the bowl down one last time. I want this to be smooth. And there's all kinds of more solid butter hanging around the edges of the bowl. I want to make sure that goes away. So I'm going to give this one last little spin. Then we're going to add our extracts in and start wrapping this up and getting it into the oven. That's looking pretty good. So we're going to go ahead and add our extracts. We have a half a teaspoon of vanilla. That's 2.5 milliliters. And then we're going to do a half teaspoon of almond extract. And almond is a really complementary flavor to coconut. FYI. Let's put that in. While those are mixing, you want to get your can of coconut milk. Remember, not coconut oil, coconut milk. As this sits, the fat in it solidifies, the mixture separates, so shake it really well before you open it up. And then we're going to pour that in the measuring cup. We need a half of a cup. You can see it's kind of thick. You'll see chunks in there. That's okay. That's the fat. It just bakes right out. This is 125 milliliters. So now we're finishing here. We're going to add the dry ingredients in first. We're going to alternate. We're going to add about a third of the dry. Then we're going to add about half of the coconut milk. Then we'll add dry again, the rest of the milk, and then we'll finish with the dry. So I'm going to go ahead and add some of our flour mixture in. Let that mix a bit. And we're going to add half of the coconut milk in. I'm going to add the dry ingredients again. Now we're going to add the rest of our coconut milk in. Try to get this in. It's kind of thick, so you have to kind of use a scraper to get it all out. And then we'll finish by adding our last bit of dry in. And you want to mix this just until it's incorporated. You don't want to overmix it. The mixture's starting to look really smooth, so I'm going to go ahead and shut it off. I'm going to go ahead and scrape the bowl down. We're on our final step here. Yay. I'm just mixing any last minute little bits of flour. It looks nice and smooth, and it smells really yummy. Last step, 120 grams or 1 cup of shredded sweetened coconut flakes. This is the star of the show. And we're just going to gently fold that in. Folding is just scooping to the bottom and then just move the bowl around and just keep folding. This is a gentle way to incorporate an ingredient without overworking the mixture, which can activate the gluten. We want this to be nice and tender. If you see any large lumps of coconut, you want to break those up because that'll make a big glob in the middle of your bread when you go to cut it. And I think it's good. We're going to go ahead and put this in our bread pan. You want to just spread this and make sure that you're getting it into the corners of the pan. So just kind of spread it evenly. And this is ready to go in the oven. So we're going to go ahead and put this in the oven. So I just set the timer on my oven for 1 hour. I'm going to just peek into the oven and see how it's doing. I'm looking for golden brown, but not only just golden brown, but we have to do the toothpick check and make sure that when we stick a toothpick in the center of the bread, pull it out, it should be clean. If you take it out too soon, it will fall in the center. So this bread could potentially take up to 1.5 hours. We just have to give it the time that it needs. You're looking for that nice dome, and we want to make sure that it's really, really done before we take it out of the oven. I'll see you back here in a little bit. So the bread has been in the oven for 1 hour and 5 minutes. I'm just going to pull it out here a little bit. Oh, that was awesome. It's my thermometer. Okay. It feels like it's springing back when I touch it. I'm going to do the toothpick into the center, and it is coming out clean. One other thing I'm going to do, because I really do want to make sure that it is done, because I don't want it to fall. We've worked very hard to get it there. Okay, I'm inserting a digital thermometer in. It should go to 190 to 200 degrees. 192. So I'm going to go ahead and take it out. So now we're going to let this just sit here for about 20 minutes. It needs to cool before I even remove it from the pan. Then I will take it out of the pan and just let it sit on the cooling rack until it is completely cool, and then we will make our icing. See you in a little bit. Our bread has cooled for about 25 minutes. It's cool enough I can actually touch the pan. I just wanted to smell it. It smells so good. So look how easy this is. That simple. And we're just gonna let this cool completely, and then we will make our icing. I'm gonna just spread these down. I just want the air to get to it. I'm actually going to just pull this aside a little bit and get that parchment paper off so that the air can get to it all around so it will cool nicely. So our bread is cool here, and we're going to go ahead and make our icing. You want 1 cup of confectioner's sugar, that's 120 grams. 3 teaspoons of milk, which is 15 mLs. And then we're doing 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla. We just want some flavor in this, so we don't want it to be overpowering, but so 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla, which is 1.25 milliliters. And then we're doing 1/4 teaspoon of almond extract. And now we're just going to stir it around and get it all combined. The consistency we're looking for here is thick but spreadable. We're not doing a glaze, and we don't want it to just run off of the bread. We want it to be thick and spreadable, but not too thick. So we're just gonna give a stir here and just keep stirring it until it is all incorporated. So as I'm stirring this, I had this out just in case. I'm adding 1 more teaspoon of milk. That should do. So I just stirred this for 3 or 4 minutes just because I really wanted to get it nice and smooth and all the powdered sugar incorporated. So it's a really nice consistency. It's thick but spreadable, and I think it is ready to go on our bread. So we're at our final step. I'm grabbing a baking sheet. So I'm going to put the cooling rack on it to catch the drips. Bring this right over here. I'm going to spread the icing on. I like it when it runs down the sides. I think that's pretty, so I usually try to get it right out to the edges so that it has the opportunity to drip down over. Our last little bit on here. I want to make sure that some goes down on the sides too. Probably doesn't really matter, but I think it looks pretty when there's something running down on all of the ends of the bread. Now we're going to cover it with some coconut. You can put on as much as you like. I like to cover the whole thing. Then I take my hand and just kind of press on it a little bit so that some of those loose little pieces actually stick right into the icing. And then I just give it a good dose of coconut. And now we wait. This should take 15 or 20 minutes for it just to set, and then we'll cut it. So it's time to cut the loaf and have a look inside here. Ooh, beautiful. So it's time for me to try this. Now I remember why we decided this is one of our favorites. You have to try this. It is so, so, so good. It is moist and tender. There's beautiful chunks of coconut all through here. The icing is yummy. So good. You have to try it. So my friends, thank you for sticking with me while we made this bread together. I know you can do this, and look how pretty it is. If you make this, you're going to be so proud of it to serve it to friends or family. I have many other recipes to share with you. Check out my playlist, and I hope to see you there.